Hey guys, it's Tealus here, and I want to welcome you back to the Dollar on Sewers for the final time. We have gone through every specialization of rogue in World of Warcraft Legion. The Dollar on Sewers, of course, being the class order hall for rogues in Legion. We have looked at outlaw rogues, we have looked at subtlety rogues, and we have done our first video looking at assassination rogues. This is the final video for Assassination. We will be looking at the PvE and PvP talent changes that will be coming to Assassination Rogues in Legion. If you missed the first video on Assassination Rogues, I'll be honest, you did not miss much. Unfortunately, very little is changing for Assassination Rogues in World of Warcraft Legion. If you want the rundown really quick, basically, in past expansions, Blizzard basically felt like the other specialization of rogues acted as kind of a derivative of what an assassination rogue should be. And so what happened was, when Blizzard decided to diversify the rogues in World of Warcraft Legion, Outlaw and Subtlety got massive overhauls, whereas Assassination basically stayed the same because it was already sitting pretty. So in this video, we are going to look at the PvE and PvP talents. If you would like to see the abilities and the artifact weapon, you can go ahead and check part 1 of this 2-video series where you will see all of that. But let's go ahead and get started on the PvE talents for an Assassination Rogue in World of Warcraft Legion. I'm going to be honest, there aren't too many changes coming for Assassination Rogues in terms of PvE talents either. While many classes may have had complete overhauls of their talent trees, Assassination Rogues, as have most rogues, kept their talent trees somewhat intact. I would say it's about 50-50 across the board in terms of talents remaining versus being brand new. That's different from some other specializations who really have seen like 90% of their talent tree completely blown up and changed. So let's go ahead and just start from the top and work our way down. First, we have this new one here, Master Poisoner. Now, this was a passive. It's coming back a little bit different, but it is a passive now talent. It increases the damage done by your poisons by 10% and their non-damaging effects by 20%. Remember that Assassination Rogues are all about the poisons and the bleeding. That's all it's about. And so this could be a very helpful talent to have. The second talent here, we have Elaborate Planning. Your finishing moves grant 20% increased damage for 6 seconds. So if you're able to put a lot of burst after your finishing moves, this is the kind of ability that you want to take. The third option here, though, is Hemorrhage, which is a 30 energy. This looks familiar. Coming in back as a talent. Rips a gushing wound in the target, dealing 13,000 physical damage and increasing bleed damage from your abilities on the target by 30% for 20 seconds. I really do not like upkeep abilities at all, and this is an upkeep ability. However, bleeds and poisons are so important with an Assassination Rogue. I don't see why you would not take this. Personally, even though I know very little in terms of rogues, this is probably the talent I would take. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you here. I do not know if the spell visual has changed for this. A lot of the sound effects have changed for rogues in general. Blizzard has done great work in kind of overhauling all of the sound effects for most melee classes and their visuals. So that's why I'm going to show this to you right here. And we're going to go ahead and use it right here. And there it is. Simple as that. So with that, let's look at the next tier. We have Night Stalker. This used to be in the 15 tier, but it is now in the 30 tier, and it is still the same. While stealth is active, you move 20% faster and your abilities deal 50% more damage. In the second one, we have Subterfuge. If I pronounce that correctly, your abilities requiring stealth can be used for 3 seconds after stealth breaks. So that has not changed. However, what has changed is the second portion. As we mentioned in the last video, Garrote, or Garrote, however you pronounce it, it no longer requires stealth. But this now has a little, additive to it. It basically says, well, I'll just read it off for you. Also causes Garrote to deal 100% increased damage and have no cooldown when used from stealth or 3 seconds after stealth breaks. I'm not sure if that means that the bleed damage will stack. We can go ahead and test here. We'll go ahead and use it here. And we'll use it once and then twice again. And we have the bleed damage doing 39,000 damage every 2 seconds. We'll go ahead and use it on another training dummy just to see what the damage is on this. And 23,000 on that target versus 39,000. So it does look like the damage is increased from that. Just something to take note there from that that change in subterfuge. So something to think about when you use that. So Garrote will deal 100% increased damage and have no cooldown when used for stealth or for 3 seconds after stealth breaks. So take note of that. There were some major changes to this ability that we talked about in the last video. It really was the only ability that was changed, and it is to bring into kind of bring into light the effect and the importance of having bleeds and poisons up on your target. The third option here is Shadow Focus. Abilities cost 50% less energy while stealth is active. This is different from the old Shadow Focus in that it was 75% less energy. Now it's 50% less energy, so there is a nerf on this talent. On the 45 tier, we have Deeper Stratagem. You may have a maximum of 6 combo points. Your finishing moves consume up to 6 combo points, and your finishing moves deal 20% increased damage. So let me go ahead and show you what this basically does. If you look in the top left-hand corner, I now have 6 combo points that I can now use. You will see the small UI at the bottom now has 6 combo points that I can use. That's right underneath my character. And now, underneath all of my combo finishers, such as Envenom or Rupture, it now has 6 points. And it tells you how much damage it will deal for those 6 points, which is really nice to have. So, I'll use both, and I have both active now, and I have the Envenom was only 5 points, but you can now use 6 points on both. This has basically been the same across all rogues, this tier. It has not changed whatsoever. And that's because it's an interesting tier that lets you play around with your combo points. So this gives you an extra combo point to play with. Anticipation is nothing like the old Anticipation. There was an old Anticipation. It's gone now. Anything that is anything like that is gone. This is a new one, and it has been with Subtlety rogues, and it has also been with Outlaw rogues. And basically, it treats combo points like it does for Ret Paladins and Holy Power. You may have a maximum of 8 combo points. Finishers still consume a maximum of 5 combo points. So basically, it gives you more burst potential. So, I'm going to go ahead and use, as you can see, I now only have 5 at the bottom there. And I will build up all the way, and as you can see, as I'm building up these combo points, 2 little small ones have appeared below. And so now there's 5 combo points on top and 3 underneath it. If you want to see the ones in your portrait, you have 5 where you normally would, and then up and to the left of each of the first 3 combo points, you will see a tiny, minuscule red dot. That's indicating that you have 8 total. So with this, you're able to do bigger combos. I can use Envenom, use Rupture, and then use Envenom, then Mutilate, and then Rupture, and then get both of them off in quick succession. So that may be something that you may want to use, you know, in terms of being able to provide more burst damage. The only thing is that with in Assassination rogues, a lot of it is about your dot damage, you know, what you're doing with your poisons and so forth. And as such, I don't see Anticipation being as big of a boost as, say, it would be for Subtlety or for Outlaw Rogue. I see that being more of a bigger boost than what you can get out of in the Envenom and Rupture. Envenom and Rupture with an Assassination rogue. With that being said, probably I would go for Vigor. Maybe Deeper Stratagem, or you can go with Vigor for your third option. This is one of these two is probably what I would go for, and it is a passive. It increases your maximum energy by 50 and your energy regeneration by 10%. So if you're like me and you absolutely hate ever having downtime with energy, Vigor, this is the way to go. I mean, I cannot stand not having, I really cannot stand having, you know, having that any type of downtime whenever I do anything regarding energy. Doesn't matter the class, even my hunter with focus, I hate downtime. Even cooldown classes with downtime. So this may be something that you want to take. Out of the 3 rogue specs, I've noticed a little bit of a downtime with assassination rogues. So we'll see how that plays out. Basically, it's going to be up to the theory crafters to decide which one is going to be, top DPS overall. In the 60 tier, we have Leeching Poison coming back, which basically is the same, has not changed whatsoever. Elusiveness has come back, and it also has not changed whatsoever. The only thing that has changed is that it is before Faint also reduced all damage you took by 30% for 5 seconds. The difference is this time it says non-area of effect attacks. So area of effect attacks can still deal damage to you at full capacity. That was not the case before. Cheat Death is back again, and it functions exactly the same as before. There is, I believe, one difference, and that is the fact that Cheat Death now is a 2-minute cooldown as opposed to a 1-minute 30-second cooldown. So there is a nerf on Cheat Death there. On the 75 tier with Thuggy, I think I pronounced that right. I actually looked that up to make sure that I was pronouncing it somewhat correct. Resets the remaining cooldown on Garrote. I probably should have looked that up too while I was at it, darn it. When a target dies with your Garrote active. There are a lot of talents really pushing this ability. So Blizzard really intends for Garrote to really be used in your rotation along with Mutilate. So just remember that and think about that when approaching this bleed and poison oriented rogue specialization. There is Prey on the Weak. This is also one coming back from the old talent tree, and it still functions exactly as it does on the old version. Third one here is Internal Bleeding. Kidney Shot also deals 29,000 bleed damage per combo point over 12 seconds. Basically, this is kind of big because it gives you another finisher that deals more bleed damage. And when you start looking at something like the ability Venomous Wounds and bleed damage, maybe in PvP where you're going to be wanting to be using Kidney Shot more than you would maybe Rupture, you can use Kidney Shot instead and Envenom, and then have the extra damage coming out of that Venomous Wounds, or the extra energy regeneration coming out of that Venomous Wounds that you normally wouldn't have because of that. So that's something to think about in this talent tree right here. Otherwise, that ability, Internal Bleeding, functions just like it does on live. So, as you're seeing, a lot of these talents are very similar to the way they are on live. Getting into the 90 tier, we're starting to get some new stuff. We have Agonizing Poison. I'll go ahead and equip it right here. Coat your weapons with a lethal poison that lasts for 1 hour. Each strike has a 20% chance to poison the enemy for 12 seconds, increasing all damage taken from your abilities by 6%, stacking up to 5 times. Damage bonus will be increased by Mastery Potent Poisons. If you've forgotten what Mastery Potent Poisons is, it increases damage done by your poisons by 49%. Very boring. This will be a Theory Crafter thing. It's really gonna have to... the Theory Crafters will say, hey, Agonizing Poison is better, or hey, Deadly Poison is better, or, whatever it may be. They're gonna tell you which poison is the best, and you're gonna go for it, basically. If you're in a PvP situation, maybe this might be something that you may not like. It's damage from your abilities. The problem I see with that is that so much of your damage as an Assassination Rogue is tied into your poisons. And I don't know if that actually affects your poisons and your bleeds. I would assume, obviously, it affects stuff like Mutilate. I'm not sure how much it affects dots as much as well, though. So I'm assuming that it affects it just the same, but just something to watch out there for. In any case, this is something that Theory Crafters are going to be basically, hey, this poison does the most damage, because honestly, there really isn't a good diversity in terms of poisons. That's one thing I think where Blizzard could have really done something to spice up Assassination Rogues is they could have really taken a hard look at poisons and really changed your play style based on the poison you had on the target, and I don't think they've done that enough with Agonizing Poison, Deadly Poison, and Wound Poison. So that may be something in the future, but for now, that's what we have. In the second one of the 90 tier, we have Alacrity. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to grant 1% haste for 20 seconds, stacking up to 25 times. This is something that I would never use for PvP, just because I feel like something like Alacrity requires a more controlled environment for it to be effective. The third option here is, oh my goodness, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, Exsanguinate. I believe that's how you pronounce it. You twist your blades into the target's wound, causing your bleed effects to bleed out 400% faster. This is your PvP option right here. I don't see any PvPer not taking this. This is insane. So, just to I guess set this up here, we have the double Garrote spam, which comes out of, I can't even remember what the ability now that it comes out of, is Subterfuge. And then we have the internal bleeding with Kidney Shot. We also have Rupture, if we decide to use Rupture instead. And then we have this Exsanguinate. So I'm just going to go through with this. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to stealth with this. I'm going to use Garrote, Hemorrhage, Garrote. Going to pop out of there. Get Rupture up to max. And then use Exsanguinate. And you can see it there. And then we'll see just how quickly the damage ticks and does massive damage really quickly. That's going to be your burst damage right there. That's the best way you can do burst damage right there as an Assassination Rogue, is through your bleeds. Now, if you had Envenom up, there would be interactions with that. Make sure you have, if you have your poisons up, there would be interactions with that to give you more through Venomous Wounds, so you regain more energy. But really, that's kind of a big deal. 400% faster. That's where your burst damage is going to come into. And honestly, I see every single PvPer taking that without question. 45-second cooldown isn't bad. You know, I can go into stealth and easily deal with that for a while. And I can build it up through this, because this does build up. And then you can easily go through and put Rupture on the target and then deal lots of damage. That's the way I see that working. That's what I see players taking for a PvP talent. In the last tier, all three of these should look very familiar. Marked for Death moved up a tier. It still functions exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Death from above, exact same, has not changed at all. And still functions exactly the same. And then there's Venom Rush, which has changed a little bit. Before, Venom Rush gave you increased your maximum energy by 15 and increased your energy regeneration rate by 5% for each enemy you have poisoned, up to 3. This is changed by Venomous Wounds, grants 3 additional energy each time it grants energy. So it's playing now, it's passive that now plays into your new ability of Venomous Wounds. So honestly, I think this will be a quality of life change for the better for Assassination Rogues in this talent. And between Marked for Death and Venom Rush is probably what I would expect for Assassination Rogues. Once again, I'm the rogue noob, so I'm not quite sure, whether or not that will be the absolute popular option. But that's where your burst is going to come in overall through this PvE talent tree. Hemorrhage, Garrote, building up your stacks. I mean, you can do Mark for Death, Hemorrhage, Garrote 2 times, Exsanguinate, if I pronounce that correctly. And then on top of that, if you have your nature damage bleeding on them, then you can do Kingsbane, your artifact weapon, and then just do even more damage. Let me see just how much damage I can actually pull off here on this target. And once again, I'm a rogue noob, so I apologize for the noobiness on my rogue, but we will see right here just how much I can do. And I believe I didn't have poisons on, so I couldn't do nearly as much as I could have done. But I really do think that this ability, Exsanguinite, is going to be what all PvPers will be taking because of the 400% quicker dot ticking on your bleeds. And if you stack your bleeds up pretty well, you can do a lot of damage. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the honor talents. The way honor talents work in World of Warcraft Legion is you will start at level 1 and you will level your way up to level 50 just like you do in Call of Duty, and when you reach level 50 you can prestige and start back at level 1. You will start with Gladiator's Medallion at level 1. By the time you reach level 10 you will have Creeping Venom, and then you'll start with Adaptation and move your way all the way down, and then the same thing for the third tier. The last item comes in at level 46. And then when you reach level 50, you can choose to prestige and lose all your talents and start back with Gladiator's Medallion, or you can just stay at level 50 and say, I don't want to do this again. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and look at the first tier. First tier is all dealing about your honorable medallion. You get an honorable medallion the first time you go into a BG, and your honorable medallion is basically like a trinket, heirloom style. So it's a 3-minute cooldown trinket. You can replace that trinket with a Gladiator's Medallion, which is your basic trinket 2-minute cooldown. Your second option here is Adaptation. All loss of control effects for the duration of 5 seconds or more will activate your Honorable Medallion spell, but only cause it to incur a 60-second cooldown. I generally like this for all PvPers. All PvPers, that was a dumb comment. For all DPS players. The only thing that I would say is that maybe rogues, considering that they can be very fragile at times, and they like to jump in, do their damage, and get out, they may not like Adaptation, and they may opt for the Gladiator's Medallion instead. Do you know that if you activate your Honorable Medallion with Adaptation, it will incur a 3-minute cooldown on your Adaptation, so you will not be able to use it for a while. The third option here is Relentless. I do not see any DPS taking this whatsoever. It reduces the incoming crowd control effects. It reduces all incoming crowd control effects by 25%, but it replaces your honorable medallion, so you no longer have a trinket, and that's pretty tough to deal with. In the second tier, this is all for melee DPS. You have Hardiness, which is well above 80% health. You take 20% less damage. You have Reinforced Armor, which is health is increased by 10%. Or you have Sparring. Physical melee attacks have a 20% chance to be blunted, dealing 50% reduced damage. 3 options of defensibility right there. In the third tier, this is the same for most rogues. You have Maneuverability. Sprint suppresses the movement impairing effects for 4 seconds when used. You have Intent to Kill. Shadow Step's cooldown is reduced by 66% when used on a target marked by your Vendetta. This actually may be a different PvP talent from the other specs, so that one's actually pretty cool to use. But this one's my absolute favorite. It's called Cut to the Chase. If nearby enemies within 10 yards move faster than you at any given moment, you match their movement speed and excel it by 5% for 3 seconds. I had a hunter use Aspect of the Cheetah, which increases their movement speed by 90%, and he did not get away. It was really fun. I was flying, trying to catch him down. He just couldn't get away from me. And then I believe, I'm not quite sure if this is correct or if it's meant to be in game, but a paladin actually has the ability to mount up mid-combat and actually fight on their mount, which is, you know, insane movement speed. And when one used it one time, I was moving so fast I couldn't hit anything. I was just like blazing across the Strand of the Ancients, which was pretty crazy. So this is a really fun ability to have. I don't know if it'll be popular among PvPers, but it was a lot of fun for me to use. On the fourth tier, we have Turn the Tables. After coming out of a stun, your damage is increased by 15% for 6 seconds. Not sure how popular that is. Most rogues that I see coming out of a stun usually try to vanish and run away. Let me make sure that, yeah, you still have Vanish. So, I don't know how popular that will be, but it is an option. Honor Among Thieves. Critical hits in combat by allies within you grant you combo points, but no more often than once every 2 seconds. So this should be pretty familiar to you. This is how Honor Among Thieves has generally worked. There's Unfair Advantage. Ability critical strikes on targets with a lower health percentage than you increases your critical strike damage by 20% for 3 seconds. If this works with your dot damage, which I'm assuming it does, this is powerful, and this is probably what I would take. Once again, Assassination rogues are all about their poisons and their bleeding damage, and if you have something like this, I honestly would probably take it as an Assassination rogue. On the 5th tier, we have Deadly Brew. Deadly Poison also causes wound poison's reduced healing effect. That's pretty potent. Having that healing reduction there, I can already tell you from using my Hunter and having my Hunter having its own type of healing reduction ability tied to its shots, it's very powerful. Right now it's the only way you can take down a Blood DK, but that will be patched, I promise you. There's no way Blood DKs are going live with the amount of healing that they have in PvP. The second option here is Mind-Numbing Poison. Passive Deadly Poison will also infect the target with Mind-Numbing Poison. Casting spells while under the effects of Mind-Numbing Poison will cause you to take 14,000 nature damage. Not a big fan of this. I'd rather have Deadly Brew. I just think it, yeah, I think it would be better. I believe Mind-Numbing Poison maybe at one point like increased your cast time. That would have actually been useful. But this just doing the extra nature damage, I don't think will be worth it. The last is Shiv or Sheev, however you want to pronounce it. Stabs the target with your offhand weapon, causing 7,000 nature damage, and applies a deadly neurotoxin for 10 seconds. The neurotoxin causes any ability used to incur a 3-second cooldown. This is interesting. I cannot remember what Shiv or Shiv did on live. It has been removed. This is the only place it appears for rogues now. But I remember it just applying your poisons. I could be wrong, but I remember it applying your poisons. This is something completely different. Applying this neurotoxin that causes any ability used to incur a 3-second cooldown could change how you play the game. So if you have a target that is constantly able to, spam an ability, this may be something useful. This could be useful against hunters who have some abilities that they're able to spam pretty useful, like a marksmanship hunter and their arcane shot, which is their focus builder. They're able to spam that. And if you're able to put a 3-second cooldown on them, that's pretty good. The only problem is that it's a 25-second cooldown, so I don't know how popular that will be. Personally, probably my favorite on this tier is probably still Deadly Brew. In the 6th tier, our last tier, we have Creeping Venom. Your Venom also applies Creeping Venom, dealing 56,000 nature damage over 6 seconds. Creeping Venom's duration is refresh when the target moves. This is powerful in PvP. That means, unless someone just sits there for 6 seconds, which maybe would be a caster, this is extremely potent against any melee. It just permanently puts a dot on them to deal lots of damage, which I think is great. It's a passive, too. You just need to get Venom off on them, and then you got this. You get Venom off on them, and then you can reopen them with your bleed combo that just wrecks them and do a lot of damage. So while let's just say that while Assassination has not really received a lot of fun changes, they're getting a lot of powerful tools in PvP to really wreck some faces here. You have Flying Daggers. Phantom Knives deals 350% more damage when it strikes 3 or more targets. This is an utterly useless, in my opinion, PvP talent. I don't know why it's here. I would replace it with something in this tier, but I don't even know what you would replace it with. I don't know. No one's going to take Flying Daggers, in my opinion. I may be completely oblivious to rogues, but no one's going to take Flying Daggers. The last one here is System Shock. Casting Envenom with at least 5 combo points on a target afflicted by your Garrote, Rupture, and Lethal Poison deals 89,000 nature damage and reduces their movement speed by 90% for 2 seconds. 90% is huge. you guys have heard me talk many times in several of these videos about how big it is when you have a 70% reduction. 90% is absolutely crippling. It says by your garrote, rupture, and lethal poison. So, I'm not sure if you have to have all of them up at the same time for this to work. It's possible, which means that it takes a lot of setup to get this off. But, it's 90%. But on the other side, it's only 2 seconds. So, in all honesty, I don't think I like this as much as Creeping Venom. This could be really powerful. But there's a lot of setup involved for it. A lot of things that you have to, you know, it's fine. It's a normal combo that you set up, and you're able to snare them for 90%, which is crippling. But the 2 seconds is not really enough. It really isn't. Especially when there are people out there who, there are actually classes out there that have some ways to mitigate slow reduction, and then they get away, and then it's just like, okay, by the time they get away, the 2 seconds doesn't last long enough for you to actually do anything. So, in all honesty, while this seems really good, I probably would go with Creeping Venom in terms of its ability to just continually put this nature damage on a target for a long time, which is pretty cool. And unfortunately, nature damage does not equate to poisoned target. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. If Creeping Venom is considered a poison or not. It's called nature damage, so, I mean, if it was, it'd be awesome for Venomous Wounds, which means you'd always be able to have, you know, at least a 10 energy, you know, getting 10 energy back or not. But, I'm not quite sure if that's how it works. The reason why I haven't tested some of these in PvP is because it takes so long to get into PvP matches, and then I can't switch talents once the match has started, and so it takes a really long time to go back and forth and try and do that, and it's basically a time hog. And so on top of that, I can't really record inside a PvP match because it's an uncontrolled environment, so I can't really narrate and show you guys stuff. So I'm sorry I'm not showing you the PvP talents like actually in action, but I am at least giving you all the information through the video. So with that, that is everything from the Dalaran sewers. All rogue specs have been covered. All PvE and PvP talent trees have been covered. Maybe we'll be back here for maybe a tour of the Dalaran sewers, although you guys have seen a lot of it already with me just jumping around, messing around. But for the most part, that is everything for Assassination rogues, Outlaw rogues, and Subtlety rogues. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the videos, and I hope you enjoy your rogues. If you're a big rogue fan, I hope you enjoy your rogues in World of Warcraft Legion. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Tearless out.